It's the video games. It absolutely is the video games. That's Disney's Star Wars' biggest problem right now. I know a lot of you think it's the movies or Kenobi, whatever. No, it's not. It's not even close. It's the video games. The video games by far are the biggest issue with Disney's Star Wars moving forward. You've seen all the Battlefront 1 videos about the card system and how that game released and there was absolutely no content. And then the sequel to that game, Battlefront 2, had one of the most disastrous launches of a video game that I've ever witnessed. Also influenced the entire gaming studio and industry to remove loot crates from their games because of how predatory the practices were. And of course, Battlefront 2 was the first game, the main game that was listed in all these articles going forward to influence the industry to change this. And it's sad because Battlefront 2 also had a fantastic comeback story. But a lot of people only know the negatives. A lot of people only focus on the negatives, and that is Battlefront 2 cuts production in the video game, halts all DLC moving forward. So many concepts that just weren't released because they were probably working on it, like Mandalorian DLC and so many other things. And the last DLC that we really saw was the Rise of Skywalker DLC. And it's sad because imagine if that game is shipped like that. Imagine if that game already has all the Clone Wars content at release. And it's funny how popular that stuff is now. And even today, with that game being no longer supported, there are still so many people wanting more Battlefront content. But when you think about the lingering issues with the Star Wars video games, yeah, we don't have a lot of them. And yes, there is the Jedi Survivor series, which is phenomenal. And, Star Wars Squadrons was solid. I mean, even Battlefront 2 had its strengths going on with the current fan base. But the main reason why I'm making this video today is because the Knights of the Old Republic remake. What the hell is happening? What is going on? It seems like Sony and everyone else involved doesn't want to have anything to do with this remake. And that is by far the most disappointing thing, because those of you that played Knights of the Republic, you understand, you were there when you first played this game almost 20 years ago. This, in my opinion, is by far the most important Star Wars game. There are several video games out there that are Star Wars that influenced the industry, but none compared to the level of KOTOR and how many people see this as a cult classic, as a true love for Star Wars fans and the expanded universe, and why a remake like Star Wars The Old Republic is so vital. The industry is thriving with remasters, remakes. The biggest example of this is the Resident Evil video games. I mean, even some of those remakes are considered Game of the Year. Even right now, there is one of them that is in the running for Game of the Year. The remakes serve as a fantastic opportunity for not just older fans to get into the new current state of gaming, but also younger fans that never could experience the old games. And that's the best thing about these remasters or the retelling of these cult classics, is because you have the newer generation. They are not going to go back and play a 20-year-old game with outdated graphics, outdated story, outdated video game mechanics. And that's the biggest thing that's stopping people from playing these games, like Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. I mean, hell, even the cult classic Republic Commando is one of the worst games that I've seen age. Even back then, that game was extremely clunky, and that just reinforces my view about why Knights of the Old Republic remake is so important. Why are there so many issues, not just with the remake, but also with gaming in general? It just seems like it's so much harder and much more expensive to make video games these days. And when you talk about Knights of the Old Republic specifically, Asper is the first gaming studio that I think about, because they were responsible for all of the remasters and the ports that they have done recently for Knights of the Old Republic and the mobile games. The Knights of the Old Republic remake that was announced with Sony was also under the supervision of Asper. There was a lot of controversy recently with their Knights of the Old Republic 2 release, and then that right gets taken away from them, and then now Saber Interactive has the reins for the remake. And it's weird too, because everything that's being reported on this game is negative. There is nothing positive that we've seen so far being facilitated throughout the feed of the news in the industry. And it's sad that we only know about 2 people from Saber Interactive that claim that they're working on this. I don't know how recent this is. I don't know how serious the issue is, but it just seems like everyone involved with this project doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Even to the point Sony has gone to the lengths of removing the trailer previously from their listing on YouTube because of copyright. And I don't know, that just makes it seem even more terrifying that we're probably never going to get this game. It's not just remakes for me, right? It's just the Star Wars brand that offers so much for gaming. Outside of the movies, the expanded universe is all you got to share into the universe, to fall deeper into your love for Star Wars. And the video games are some of the biggest influences of that. There are a lot of fans out there that may not like the movies, but they may be very interested into an RPG of Star Wars, an MMO, a fighting game, a shooter, FPS, whatever it is. They may find their love through playing the video game and sharing experiences with their friends that are diehards and hardcore fans of Star Wars. And the only way to get to those people is to make a Star Wars video game, or maybe introduce them to a cult classic like Knights of the Old Republic, like Republic Commando, like Dark Forces. There is an entire list on Steam of Star Wars video games, and a lot of those games are worthy of remastering or remakes. You have this giant entity like Disney to throw money at a brand like Star Wars, thus making more money for themselves and Star Wars. Everybody wins. Gaming in general just has an issue, and I've gone over it about why only certain games are succeeding right now compared to others, and then you have all the sports games, you have the Call of Duties, the Fortnites, the BRs, all these different games that everyone is just kind of making sequels to, and that's why a lot of people feel like, gaming is just kind of, the value of gaming has diminished, and they can't unhinge themselves from nostalgia, but that's also because they're used to playing a certain type of game. And Star Wars should be that one component, that influence, just like how it influences the cinematic universe, it should also influence the video game universe as well. You have a brand of Star Wars that is capable of distributing every single type of genre of video game, but we just haven't gotten that yet. And there are games coming. We know about 4 or 5 video games that haven't had a title yet, but are being worked on at this moment and time. But this Knights of the Old Republic situation is just sad. The current situation for Star Wars video games is sad and disappointing. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going to have a present experience of Star Wars video games that will ever surpass and top what I've experienced in the past. I love Star Wars The Old Republic. I never got to play Star Wars Galaxies, but I hear everyone else, that's kind of their pinnacle experience. And of course, everyone else with Battlefront and all these other games. I just want something like that right now, today. And I want to stop playing other video games to get a version of that experience. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. Make sure you subscribe for more. I'm Lord Dagovere, and I'll see you around, fam. Deuces.